This is how you become a better conversationalist. The average Brit has between 30 conversations every day, which amounts to about 15,000 words, which is why it's important to make the most of them. So there are 3 ways you can improve this. First is to talk in terms of the other person's interests. Second way is to relate everything that you say back to the other person, keeping it relevant for them, and always ask open questions. So why should you always talk in terms of the other person's interests? Well, this strategy applies to putting yourself out there, wanting to have an interest in people, and it applies to situations where you're forming deeper relationships, a first date, work colleagues. And the active listening involved, which I talked about in my previous video, is mutually beneficial. You gain further knowledge, which is a good thing if you want to learn more about people, and the person you're talking to will enjoy talking about themselves and having the relationship, the conversation applied to them. And this brings long-term benefits. The more knowledge you have, the more interesting you'll be in conversations with others in the future. And in terms of the person you're talking to, if they enjoy your conversation, it will associate the positive experience with you and want to talk with you further. Next way is to relate everything you say back to the other person. And this is similar to the previous point. And this is useful because it keeps them involved. You can talk about yourself. That's a healthy conversation, 2 people talking about themselves, listening to the other. But you're talking about yourself and still relating it, keeping the other person involved, and it stops you from going on a monologue. For example, you could talk about your career ambitions, and rather than going on a monologue about what you want to do, you can slot in how the other person could give you tips. If you know anything about that person, you can spin it to how they are interesting for you. The final way is to always ask open questions, and I'll explain what that means. A boring conversation is typically yes, no's, and questions that precede that, such as, can you do this? Is answered by yes or a no. You want to stay away from this as much as possible and instead opt for the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. That automatically, you can't answer that with a yes or a no without elaborating, and that will allow the person you're having a conversation with to open up, and it will make them more willing to ask you questions too.